Hey, looks like I'm live. Well, against my better judgment, I have decided, why not show YouTube the game of air power, rather the sport of air power? I don't really want to. I don't think the world is quite mature enough for such an intelligent sport. But since I might get assassinated or something, I figured, hey, why not? Throw caution to the wind, say. So this game I invented back in 2010, and I've been playing the whole time, more or less alone. A few friends have played me at this game, and a few of those have beat me once or twice. And I think this is a game that everyone should play. I think this is a sport that can be televised, advertised, sold. To me, it's my professional wrestling. It's oh, kitty cat, what are you doing to yourself? Hey, what are you doing to yourself? Okay. Oh, she's so old. Yeah, Kitty's getting up there. She's almost 21 now, which is very old for a cat. So she's kind of having troubles. Anyway, I'm going to demonstrate this game for you. It'll be a 10-point game between me and myself because, well, there's not many people that play this game, and there's not many people that really even know about it. And this is also a special permission to any YouTuber out there. If you want to challenge me at this game because you think it's a joke, you're invited to fight me at it. Absolutely, 100%. And not only that, but if you can beat me at this game, you've got some pretty cool bragging rights, at least in my book. Another invitation. If you see this game and you figure, hey, this looks easy, I can do this myself, you can. And I give you full permission to make your own air power videos and upload them to your heart's content. If you can manage to make money and put bread on your table doing this, be my guest. You're entirely entitled to. I will not stop you. I will not sue you. I will not chase you down. To me, this is a sport for the ages, a sport for the future. It's my game. It's my contribution to the world. Anything else and everything else I've ever done, to me, is leisure. This game right here is my bread and butter. It is my baby. And I figure I might as well just share it. If you happen to pop in, you're going to see some really weird stuff. But chances are you're not going to because, well, no one cares. So, without further ado, I'm going to demonstrate a game against myself. And in the meantime, you will also see different techniques, different moves, different ways to play the game, and a compound of all of the rules, which will give you all of the insights necessary to conduct a game on your own and with your friends. And, well, let's begin. First things first, the Air Power Star. You can go on the Facebook Air Power League or Air Power page, and you will find the rules, a compendium of them, and all of these things that I'm going to explain here. And so, yeah, if you miss everything here or you want to compare it to something else, there's that to run off of. This is an Air Power Star. Yeah, I know, triangles, spooky. Well, this is how I folded my lunch pass when I was in the 4th grade, long before I ever heard about any mumbo jumbo. And the reason I stick with it is because it's mine. Mine. I picked this shape and I'm sticking with it because I chose it. If you're afraid of such shapes, such things bother you, you can simply flip it inside out and you have yourself the tumbler, which I can consider to be a practice piece. And as per the rules of air power, you can use any measure or any kind of tool you would desire. You can use a wadded up ball of foil. You can use the bubble from a bubble wrap. You can use an origami ball. You can make a paper crane. And heck, if you're strong enough, why not push a rock? So anyway, without further ado, let's demonstrate the layout of the game and how exactly a game would be conducted. You want to make sure that the piece starts at the center of the table. That is very, very important. And there are fields on this table that you want to remember. These are the end zones. This would be an out for me. This would be an out for the opponent. So if it breaches your side, you lose. Same as air hockey or foosball or any such game like that, a tabletop game, tabletop sport of sorts. These are the out of bound lines. There's the sides of the table. Now, it says in the rule book that a table should be about 40 inches by 40 inches. This one is 38 3/4 by about 41 1/2, which is close enough. You would typically flip a coin to see who goes first. I'm just going to start on this side because, well, who am I playing against? If the piece goes out of bounds, it returns to the center of the table, and then the next turn flips over to the next person. That's another important thing to remember about this game is it's turn-based. So I go, they go, I go, they go, I go, they go, so on and so forth. The only exception to that rule is if they were to knock it off and I were to strike last as it were going off the table. It says in the rules that whoever knocks the piece off the table has to turn their, basically, they lose their turn to the next person. So if I knock it off, it goes back to the center, and then that person would go. Unless I were to strike last, because then technically I was the last to influence the piece. And the reason that is because the way you play this game is you cannot touch the table, you cannot touch the piece. You cannot use your breath. None of that. No blowjobs. You have to use your limbs. Oh, and no tools either. No paddles. I would say the only exception being if you are missing hands and you have a prosthetic hand that you use to play air power with. That would be the only exception in my book that it would be okay to use some sort of utility or tool. So the object of the game is to score 10 points. And to score a point, you have to push it over your opponent's side. And so if you have a reasonable mind, you might be asking yourself, well, how am I supposed to move this piece over the other side without touching the table and without touching the piece and without using any breath from my lungs? And this is the core of air power. This is what makes the game so fun. You use your hands to generate a gust. And so you have to position your hands. Different hand positions will alter the way the wind moves and how it flows around your hand. Putting a slight crook at the end of your fingers will change how the air foils away from your hand. Splitting your fingers, using just a pointer finger. In fact, you'll find that the better you get at air power, the possibilities are practically limitless as to the different things you can do to make a force to push against the other player. Now, there's certain things here that I simply cannot demonstrate because there is not another person. Things like counters. Say if I were to strike and the person on the other side knows that it's about to go over, they can send an intervening strike as their turn because it's turn-based. So the moment it moves, when I'm done striking, it is now available for the next person to strike. You would typically have a referee or just on the honor system as to what condones a strike and what doesn't. In the rules, it says so long as the piece does not eclipse its own diameter. So as you see here, there's the points. If the piece were to go that far, that's considered a full move. If the piece were to go that far, that's considered a full move. Or that far, that's a full move. That's a full move. In which case, it turns over to the next player. You can't just keep slapping wind at it and slapping wind at it and slapping wind at it. But there is a caveat to that, and that's storming. So long as the piece doesn't move, you can slap whatever direction in any which way you want. And that's actually a very effective way to build strong strikes. It's called storming. That's the term for that. Now, doing air power strikes, to me, is incredibly fun. It's very therapeutic, and dare I say, exhausting. I consider this game a legitimate sport in the sense that there is a field, there is a ball, there are points, there is an object, and there is physical exertion, which I don't know if that's what qualifies a sport, but to me, that qualifies as a sport. And I would consider air power to be the ultimate non-contact sport because the object is to literally not touch anything. You're trying to force the wind against the piece simply through sheer manipulation. Now, I got made fun of playing this game a lot for very good reasons. It's very peculiar looking. People would call me Airbender and yada yada and this and that, and they call me Aang while they're listening to their lowbrow music and basically using me as a laughing stock, which I say that's completely fair. It's a very odd looking game. It's a very odd looking piece, and I am a very odd person. So that's just the way it goes. People are like that. They're cruel. At any rate, I'm going to play this game so that you can see how it is played. And then I can wash my hands of the internet and no longer be concerned with trying to share things with the general public, because honestly, I don't like the general public and I don't like people. But I'm alive on this planet. I come up with something that I think is valuable. And so out of respect for humanity, I'm going to share it. And yeah, then it's in with the wind. So let's start. There are different ways to do air power. Single hand strikes, double hand strikes, rights then lefts, lefts then rights, banking shots, curving shots, which honestly, that's something that I've been practicing where you can get the piece to curve. It's incredibly difficult. My love for this game exceeds my love for a lot of things. And the main reason is because of the sheer diversity and undiscovered nature of this game. Just about every football play has been done. Just about every wrestling move has been done. Just about every baseball play has been done. Just about every hockey play has been done. Every martial art's been figured out. Air power has not been completed. I am still discovering new things because it is as complex as the movement of air. And with that comes grand possibilities, especially when playing against other people. I've made vortexes. I've caused right angle movements, which, by the way, is the spookiest thing to see and nearly impossible to replicate. Everything is so, what would be the word for it? Your ability to perceive the environment that manipulates the air power piece is so intangible, so nebulous, that you just really, you have to see it to believe it. Now again, I implore, I almost beg that people give this game a try. If you don't like this piece, you're allowed to use other options. I won't judge you for it. I won't nip your heels if you're making more money than me doing this game. I only want people to play this game. It's the only reason I'm showing it. It's the only reason I care this much. And let's not waste any more time. So this person will go first. We're going to play to 10 points. I'll see if anyone's popped into chat. I doubt anyone will, but this is live right now. So you know what you're seeing is what's happening. Now that was a basic right-handed strike. This will be a left-handed bear claw sweep. It was a failed move. Since it didn't move, I could try again. Now it was pretty weak. Now this will be a move I call the Thunderbolt. Point at the piece. You cock your hand back up here. And then you strike down like a thunderbolt. Oh, I messed up. I'll move a little bit to this way. You have to really calculate. Speed and accuracy are everything in this game. In fact, you don't even need a lot of strength. This game is designed for nerds. Dang. But I have no doubts that if you had a stronger physique, a bigger build, greater speed, greater sense of accuracy, there is no doubts that you would excel at this game. Honestly, I recommended this game to retired professional wrestlers because you don't need to buckle yourself playing it. It's designed for nerds. Now I touched the table, and since I touched the table, this person now gets 2 turns. They forego their turn. And if you read at the rules on the Facebook site, you'll see that that's exactly what goes down. But I want to make a point. I want to have a nice long strike. So let me demonstrate a storming technique. A storming technique is when you churn the air up wildly before sending a final strike, which will send the piece over the other side. And there's an infinite number of ways to do that. You can draw air from the sides. You can just push air repeatedly from the back. You can set air ahead of the piece and then send it into motion to where it's carried forward. In all cases, it's all about controlling the air to move in the direction you want to get the piece to move. And so however you manage to do that is entirely up to you. I hope to see people get incredibly good at this game, much better than me, in fact, because nothing sucks worse than being the only player at a game you invented. So this one is a very standard, it's a micro storm. I'm going to send a small gust down, and I'm going to follow it up with a standard right-hand strike. As you can see, it was a very effective move. Oh yes, and I get a second turn. And this is where storming is most important. I'm not going to be able to move the piece, right, with single hand strikes from this far away. I can sit here and really just boff it, and I'm never going to move it. But with just a little bit of extra storming, it carries it the extra mile. That's why storming is there. There will always come a point, so that's point 1 for that side. Now this person has a chance. When you lose to the other opponent, the ball flips over and the loser starts the next round. Now that right there is a perfect example of a microstorm. It shot the piece right across the table from the center. It's super effective. So now we're 1-1. The piece went out. It fell off the side here. So now it would go back to the center and then turn over to the opponent. That's 2 points to 1. There are also show-offy moves you can show off with. A lot of the time, they are goofy, zany, creative, and I guess the best way is simply to demonstrate. One of my personal favorites, I call it the Cobra Strike, and it seems to be a crowd favorite. And it works just like this. You make a little cobra's head, right? He's dialing in on the thing he's going to strike. He's a Cobra Strike. And that's a Cobra Strike. It's a very effective move. 2-2. There are other moves, like this one. It's a very powerful move. Now, granted, I can't demonstrate reversals. In a case where you know the opponent's about to use a move that's going to wipe you out, you have the chance to react right after they strike. As soon as the piece starts moving, you have an opportunity to react quickly for your turn. And if you do so correctly, not only can you reverse the course of the piece, but in some cases, if your understanding of how air works is immense, you can flip it around entirely and send it back over their side. But then again, of course, as soon as the piece starts moving, it's their turn. You can have the piece moving in a whirl if you have two players that are good enough. So, all right. Let's come up with a nice, good one. Here we go. I'm going to point finger. Just point the finger at it. That's a move. That's a legit move. You could just punch at it. That's a move. Not a very effective one, or at least not very easy to accomplish. You could strike with 2 hands and then wiggle your fingers. I touch the table. This person gets 2 turns. The pinky touches, fingertip touches, even a slight little dip. That's touching the table. A lot of the time you won't be able to detect it, and your opponent won't be able to detect it. So it's important to use your honor there and call yourself out, especially if you can tell no one noticed. As you can see, I scooped the air back. This causes that to go there. And then by shooting it that way, it pulls the gust, throwing it that way. And these are things you'll begin to understand as you play lots and lots of air power, like I have, doing it for nearly, if not actually, about 12 years now. So I've learned a thing or two playing this game. Dang. And this is a great example. Couldn't be more fortunate. So the piece is lingering on the edge, literally teetering over. And there's 2 things I want to show you here. If you were to strike at this piece standard, right, you'll knock it off the edge and you'll lose. You'll basically knock yourself out, and you'll give the other person a point. But there's another thing too. If you were to push behind the piece without touching the table, because you don't want to touch the table, especially on moves like this, you'll get what's known as a knuckle knocker. And it really hurts to smash your fingers up against the table. So you want to either strike from underneath or simply push from behind. And that gets the piece off of the edge. You can't typically push them very far unless you know exactly what you're doing. I'm kind of pushed up against a wall back there, so I can't exactly fully maneuver to make it work. Here we go. So we'll say that we won't count that as a point. We'll count that as a demonstration of what happens when your piece is too close to an edge. The game is still active. So we'll call that a point. It's 3-2. Or was it 3-2? It's 3-3 because this person got a point at one time. Yeah. My brain, my addled and broken brain. This one, I call this one the cleric. It's very difficult to do, but when you do it right, it's a mean zipper. I want to try it again with this person. There we go. A lot better. And there's also single-handed power moves. I tend to build the power up in my feet by flexing. I pull it up. I basically push my body through. It's a full body seize and then a full body release. And with that, and whatever hand gesture you choose to change whatever air directions you're trying to manipulate, there's a whole host, infinite number of moves for these sort of power shots. I guess you could call them cleric moves. When I exhale, I blow out behind me or far to the side. I try not to blow into the table at all. Now, it is important to remember that whatever forces you apply to the table still continue through the air. So if you're having a quick back and forth game, back and forth, there's going to be vortices and different forces conducting themselves all about the table that you can't see. And it's important to remember the last move, and in fact, everything down to the very first move, so that you can get a better understanding of where the air is at the current moment. And of course, where you want it to be in the future. There's a lot of simple moves that work really well, but I suppose you can also get really creative. Like this. That was a better done fist. Storming. I love that. That right there. It's a special rush that you don't get from anything else until you know exactly what you're dealing with. That's something I wish I could share. I wish people would play me at this game. When you beat someone else doing something silly like that, it is such a great feeling. It is such a great feeling. But it's not something you can typically play without getting made the heck fun of. So for me, I've been doing it for 12 years. I don't give a crap. People make fun of me. They treat me like a freak my whole entire life. I know it's not going to stop. In fact, it'll probably get worse just because I'm doing stuff with my life. But it's the price you pay for having an interest. So let's just conduct the game. You'll see the different moves. Try them yourself. I'll demonstrate them. Let's watch how this goes. As you can see, these are all different moves. Off the edge. Let's push this back so you can see it fall off. That way you know. So what are we at? 5 to 4. Ooh, 5 to 5. Rookie mistake. I still make them. I make all sorts of rookie mistakes. Not only that, but there's no telling what the air was doing at that moment. It might have been the right move for the wrong moment. So, 5 to 5. 6 to 5. Didn't move. When I strike, I'm holding my breath so as not to influence the piece. And it's incredibly exhausting. blowing the air away from the table to make sure not to influence the piece unduly. Six to five. Now, actually, I shouldn't blow it in that direction because it's going to come off the sheet and then back into the table like that. You would say, how do you know? I'd be like, I've been doing this for so long, guys. Anyway. Six to six. So you can see I'm quite an even match for myself. Seven to six. Oh, come on. I guess it's good. It's all good demonstration. Suck. Suck. Both sucked. Let's see if I can do the curve ball. Nope, but it didn't move past its piece. Now, typically when I'm playing with people, even if it wiggles a little bit, shoot, I'll let my turn over to the next person because I expect more of myself. But since it didn't elapse its area, I can still go. Like it. Now let's say it's in this really confined area, right? And you don't feel comfortable. You think you're gonna hit your fingers really easy. You can simply make a little wing foil with your hand and make a little clap. Oh, come on. That sucked. I've done a lot better ones. I'm also trying to be a little quiet. I guess it's good to demonstrate. Huh? There we go. That's a better clap. Now, granted, this is the most important thing to remember. There may come a time that you're out of power, right? No electricity, stuck indoors, right? You can play this game. You don't need anything more than a piece of paper and a table. Hello, Ruskila. I don't have any money, sorry. But If you want to stick around and watch the game go down, you're more than welcome. If it gets popular in Russia, just remember one thing: it's American made. But you're welcome to play and make your own leagues. This one's going to be weird. I'm going to do a little, like this weird reverse banana thing. I have a weird reverse banana thing here, and I'm going to pinch it together. Yeah, I'll call this the pincer. Yeah, see, like the Pokemon. Ow, that hurt. But it worked. I touched the table too. It was an exquisite failure. But it went over the edge, and I'm thankful for it, because if it hadn't, this person would have 2 turns. Fortunately, it went over the edge, so it's just a failed out. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So that's 7-7. I'm getting exhausted because I'm playing for 2. Eight to 7. Eight to 8. Okay. There we go. Literally punching air hard enough to move it. I like it. Jeez. Pretty interesting move. Take notes, guys. Take notes. And feel free to share it with your friends. I'm not being selfish here. You don't have to be so scared. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be so afraid. But then again, I wanted to do that move. I can't believe you've done this. There we go. That's more like it. To 8. Oh, it didn't count. I touched the table. That's why you don't touch the table. That really hurts. Flops over. Game point for this guy right here. We believe. Had to do 2 moves. Damn. the air at that moment, it just canceled the whole thing out. All right, 9-9. Game point. I'm going to do something silly for game point. I'm going to be both sides at once. Ten. In a way, it's a game of air power. 46 minutes. Not bad for some cheap entertainment. Now again. You're all welcome to play this game. It's free. It's a piece of paper. It's a table. Remembering the rules like 10. And you got bravery to play this game with your friends. You're allowed to film it on YouTube or Facebook or Tumblr or whatever. I don't make things to keep to myself. I already know I'm not allowed to know. I'm going to demonstrate that you can use different shaped pieces, because just because this is my preferred shape doesn't mean it will be your preferred shape. You might want to pick something different. You might not like the Power Star. You might prefer the tumbler. You might prefer packing peanut. You might prefer a ball of tinfoil. You might prefer a bubble from a bubble wrap, or a balled up piece of plastic wrap, or a ramen packet. For a reason, because I know people are sensitive. Anything else you think or know about me is puff. And yeah, star for your power moves. As you seen earlier, much easier to push, much more reactive. It's between aerodynamic and simple moves can push it fairly easily. Much less effort, much less force required. You can get silly with it. You can say, "Get out of here. Get out of here with that garbage. You got cabbage in your muff." Here's a bubble wrap bubble. I basically cut the bubble out of a sheet of bubble wrap, and I put some colors on it for fun. And you can see it is an entirely different thing. It tends to fly up into the air if the force is too immense. And so you may have to cause gentler gusts to have it scoot across the table. It'll behave entirely differently than something else. All right? Things you can air power with. I touched the piece. That was technically a foul. That doesn't count. All right. Where was that? Tinfoil. This is basically just a scrap of tinfoil that's been loosely crumpled into a ball. A little denser, but it's not the scaly shape. See? This way you can play air power not only with different shapes, but you could say that if you wanted to design a league of your own, separate from anything that I'm doing, you can pick your own shape. You can pick your own. And that's why I put it in the rules. It's another reason. I want as many people to put bread on their tables as possible with this game. I want people to be able to feed themselves. I want to see new echelons of superstar. Skinny guys, nerds, scientists, people with knowledge of aerodynamics, putting their skills to the test. This is a game for nerds. It's built and made by nerd for nerds. Any YouTuber out there, you want an easy video? Get one of your boys, play a game of Air Power. Make fun of it. Make fun of me while you're doing it. I really don't care. As long as you're able to feed yourselves playing this game, or just more importantly, just have fun, then that's my aim. It's a sport. It's something for the question. Let's see. It'll all be fuddled. I can't seem to find a packing peanut. Oh, packing peanut would put A next to B. You can make origami shapes. You can use whatever your silly imagination. And with that, okay, y'all want a record? Here's your record.